Okay.
We'll be happy to answer.
I'll be sure to say that. How's this volume? Ooh, you got it right this time. Hello and welcome to First Tuesday Music. We do this every single month. On the first Tuesday of the month, we have a free concert for the public. And every month we have a different style of music, something special for you. And so if you like this and you wanted to try all kinds of other music, come again next month. So if you're here and you just stop by and you don't know what this program is, this is a musical journey to Persia with Hossein Salehi, and I'm very excited that we got him. I'll tell you a little bit more about him in a minute. And then if next month you want to join us, our next month is going to be Folk Songs of the American Labor Movement with Adam Miller, and he is an excellent storyteller as well as a singer, so that'll be very interesting. Quick housekeeping notes that I have to get out of the way before we can hear this wonderful concert. My name is April Younglove, and I'm Adult Services Librarian here. If you have any thoughts about tonight's program, feel free to tell me, or if you have musical artists to suggest, I love talking with you about our programs. Tonight's program is brought to you by the Friends of the Lake Oswego Public Library. So what that means is that there's a group of people who support extra programming that isn't normally included as part of our budget, and they raise money by having a used bookstore that you can shop at and by soliciting donations from the community. They're very generous. That is what helps pay for our summer library challenge, which just started yesterday. So if you need help knowing how to sign up. And if you want more details about the Friends, it's on the cookie table. So if you take a cookie, then you can learn more about our friends. Also on the cookie table, another important thing is a survey, and that survey really helps us. We actually send it to the Oregon State Library, and they keep track of our comments and statistics to find out how libraries in Oregon are doing. So if you could, on your way out, leave a comment. It also helps me. So I don't mind hearing your feedback and letting the folks who are in the library know that you love this concert, or if you don't, you are allowed to be honest. Without too much further ado, I want to introduce Hossein Salehi. Salehi is a multi-award-winning master artist, founder of ArtMax Academy, and he has performed with ensembles such as Pink Martini, the Oregon Symphony, and the Portland Chamber Orchestra, so a very accomplished musician. Also, we have a little extra surprise, which I didn't know about until tonight. Salehi brought his son, Babak, and Babak will also be playing various instruments. So I advertised that you were going to hear one instrument, but you're going to hear many. I'm very excited about this. Also, I was told to tell you that this is interactive. So if you have questions, feel free to raise a hand, and Q&A is always welcome. All right, or would you like it after the program? Anytime, he says. Brave musician. Give it up, please give a great big welcoming hand for tonight's act. When you say words, could you say them here and then just put it on the floor?
Okay.
So that it goes to the...
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I think the easiest way for me to to express my feeling is with my instrument. My instrument is called santoor, S-A-N-T-O-O-R. Santoor is a great-grandpa of hammered dulcimer. You probably know the hammered dulcimer. This goes to over 1,100 years of history, made in Iran, designed and made in Iran, and is found pretty much everywhere in the world now. Thank you.
Thank you. That instrument has all that history. I found this in the recycling bin in front of home. I'm just kidding. Yes. So end-blown flutes are found all over the world. Just about anywhere you go, somebody has found a pipe and punched a few holes in it, and they either play it this way, or they play it this way, or they play it this way, but they exist everywhere. What's interesting is everywhere you go, there is some unique technique. There is something very specific about how Persians do this. Persians play with their teeth. And I didn't do a very good job, but I'll demo it so you guys can see. Classical flute, you'd be blowing kind of up here. Most bamboo flutes, like you think of a East Asia type flutes, they're like that up there. Turkish flute is like that. And then the Persians decided to do it weird, go between the teeth. So I can actually bend the pitch by just grinning or changing my embouchure, essentially, which is very weird and is somewhat unique. And it, for people who play it well, it gives them a lot of flexibility. For people who play it poorly, it just means you're exposed to a lot of mistakes. But it all works out. So the plan for today, if you just kind of a little bit of imagination, if you could potentially put yourself in a mindset that we're all in a caravan and we're spanning across, first of all, time travel. We're going back in time, but also going across a very wide geographic region. Why Persia? Persia used to be huge. Now there's Iran, there's Afghanistan, there's Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. They're all subdivided into little pockets, but it used to span from what you would consider northwest India all the way out to the Balkans and a little slice of North Africa. So these are clearly all very different cultures, and a lot of the stuff that we play might have a Turkish feel to it, might have an Indian feel to it. You might even pick up something that sounds a little Mediterranean, and that's all naturally occurring. These are just different pockets of what falls under Persian music. And we couldn't possibly cover all of it in one sitting, but we're going to try our best to give you a nice little swatch of things that sound different, and yet they're kind of rooted in the same musical tradition. I don't know what's next on the set list. Sazwa was? So I'll sing a little bit, couple of verses of Rumi. Who's heard of Rumi? Show of hands. Oh, no, we have readers here. So Rumi's a great poet from about 800 years ago. Was born in what is today Balkh, which you'd consider Afghanistan. During the Mongol onslaught, his family migrated across what is today Iran and eventually landed up in Konya, which is in Turkey.
We have a very special request to put it close to your mouth so
Oh,
people can hear it.
sure. Yes, still in training. And so his poetry is all in Persian, and yet there are very interesting elements of parts of the world that he traveled across. You pick up some of those interesting characteristics in the poetry. Very devotional. Some people connect it to a spiritual kind of mindset, and others take it at face value, which is love poetry. It certainly could be interpreted both ways. This poem says, love and being in love is a two-way street, or it's a two-sided equation. And eventually, it'll take us all to the same destination. Whatever words I attempt to describe, to tell you how I feel when I'm in love, when I actually experience the love, I'm ashamed of those words. They just didn't do it justice. Then he kind of references himself in the third person. So maybe Rumi invented referring to yourself in the third person 800 years ago. He says, if he is quick with the pen and starts to scribble some words, when he feels the actual sensation, that elation of love, he just breaks the pen, tears the paper, and that's when he really is expressing his ultimate experience of love. عاشقی گر زین سر و گر زان سر است عاقبت ما را هرچه گویم عشق را شرح و بیان هرچه گویم عشق را شرح و بیان چون به عشق آیم چون به عشق آیم خجل باشم از آن چون قلم اندر نوشتن میشه تا چون قلم اندر نوشتن میشه تا چون به عشق آمد چون به عشق آمد قلم در خود شکافت چون سخن در وصف این حالت رسید هم قلم بشکست و هم کاغذ درید هم قلم بشکست و هم کاغذ درید Thank you. Thank you. That song is it's an instrumental piece called Katana. It's a Kurdish song from what would be Western Iran, northwestern Iran. And it was actually popularized by a band that toured through here in the mid 90s, late 90s? Yeah, late 90s. The Kamkars, it's a band of 6 brothers and 1 sister, and now all their kids are old enough. They're all this massive family chamber ensemble. And they actually played here at the Center for the Performing Arts at the Newmark Theater in the late 90s. And absolutely breathtaking, fantastic concert. I was so flabbergasted by the amount of volume that came out of this group. I didn't think small ensembles could sound like that. And so I was inspired to play that instrument, this vertical fiddle called the kamanche. It's considered potentially an ancestor of what later became the viol family, the violin, cello, etc. Any string players in here? Do we have any violinists? Yeah? Great, we have one. So did you notice something interesting? Okay, sure. Did you notice that I was pivoting the instrument? I wasn't bowing around it? That's very unusual, isn't it? So classical cello or bass, or if you play, I don't know what the other one, the viol, typically the instrument is held on one plane, and you bring the bow to the correct angle to access the various strings. These older fiddles were designed completely differently on a spike, and the player essentially holds the bow on one plane and pivots to bring the string to the bowing plane, which is atypical. But there are other places in the world that have vertical fiddles. In fact, they're very common from Indonesia all the way to about Bulgaria. There's actually a guy locally in town, Dennis Godfrey, I think, plays the Bulgarian version of this suspended from the shoulder with a bunch of extra strings called the gadolka. Very cool, very interesting Balkan sound. And they could have 2 strings or 3 strings, or they could have 17 strings. It's more a function of where they fit in the local ensemble and what is the role of the instrument. Is it more like a violin, like this guy is, or is it more of an accompanist to voice where you just have it produce a lot more sound but not a very clear sound? Question? Oh, excellent question. So typically these are made with mulberry. They can make them with German spruce, kind of like a classical guitar. Walnut you could also use, but it's a little bit denser. And then the skin tends to be calf neck, which is very consistent. It doesn't have knots in it or atypical sort of inconsistencies that make it potentially buckle under pressure. It is a little bit of a nightmare dealing with animal skin in a place where it rains and then it gets dry and then it rains and it gets dry constantly. Hence, these are now nylon heads. These all used to be animal skin, these large frame drums, but it really doesn't work. You have to like travel with a heating pad at all times. And even then, it's not that practical to constantly put it on a heating pad between songs. But they used to do that. Before the nylon heads came out, it was sort of a challenging exercise to keep them in tune. All right, so now we're going to travel up north to about the Caspian Sea area. So Caspian Sea, the largest landlocked lake in the world, I believe, still. And about a third of it, it's kind of sits within northern Iran. 2/3 of it is either Russia or former USSR republics. So Azerbaijan on one side, I don't know what ends up on the other side, Uzbekistan, maybe a little bit of Kazakhstan. And then eventually at the most northern point, I think Russia ends up having the coastline. It is where anybody into caviar here? Any caviar connoisseurs? The really expensive stuff comes from there. So the beluga, which is not from a whale, it's actually from a large sturgeon variety. It comes from there, and it tends to be the most expensive. The music from that part of Iran is interesting in a different way in that it's folkier, at least to my ear. It's less organized. It's more common to play it on folk instruments instead of standardized classical instruments. These are standardized classical instruments. So we'll do our best to keep it as folky as possible. That's not code for playing out of tune, by the way. just the ornaments. We're going to try to play the ornaments more folky. This is sort of a medley. There's a slow part and a fast part to the song. Thank you. Question, yes. Yeah, excellent question. So, is there form to these compositions? Yes, very much so. In folk music, sometimes there isn't the clean symmetry you might expect, like 12 bars or something, and then 12 bars of the next idea, A, B, A format. But yes, there's a theme, Sometimes there is something that's like a bridge, and they'll play like the theme, and then they'll play the chorus, and then they'll go to the bridge, and they'll come back to the chorus. In standardized classical music, yes, everything is written, everything is very detailed and organized, and you do find exactly the same symmetry. They use the 5-line staff line that you would. Do you read music? Do you read music? Yeah. So it's exactly the same, treble clef, bass clef for the lower instruments. It's very much analogous to like what you might consider chamber music. But in folk music, it's a little bit. Yeah, so the scales are also fairly similar. So it's a modal music. So you have major and minor, and you have 7-note scales. Whether you think of it as a diatonic scale or chromatic scale, it's the same 12 half steps or the same 7 notes. Sharps and flats are the same. But in Persian music, there's also the small fractions of a half step. So you have, loosely speaking, quarter tones. They're not true quarters. It's not a half of a B flat, but it's an increment of a B flat that's not quite flat or not quite sharp. So we call them microtones because that's a better description of the smaller fraction. Yeah, that's actually, so form, very much like North Indian music, like raga, there is form, and also there are scales with specific intervals. So you would play a scale, but you don't just play any note combination. There is an expectation that when you go up the scale, you hold on that note. So that B flat is expected to be a point of emphasis. And if you worked in a microtone, you hear that? So it's not quite flat or natural, it's in between. And then you resolve it. So you might use it as an accidental, or there are scales that permanently have the microtones built in, so you would play it the entire time. So I'll demonstrate one a little bit later. It's a natural minor scale, but depending on how you think of, the 6th is a microtone. So you always play, if you thought of A minor, A, B, C, D, E would be, F would be a semi-sharp, kind of partial sharp, always. Sure, it's a good question, good technical question. All right, what do we have next? Oh, Charmazrab Tombak. Charmazrab Shama. So for this next piece, I will accompany on percussion. This is this form of composition is called char mezrab. Literally means like quadruple malleted. So as if he's got 2 mallets, but he's going to play so fast you're going to see 4 of them. Kind of a little bit of showmanship is expected, or they disappear. And so I will accompany on the goblet drum, the tombak here. So this is again, this shape drum exists everywhere, but the playing technique is what makes it uniquely Persian. Did you see all 4 mallets? Did you see 8 mallets? Mallets, like mallets and drums. Mallet.
The difference between the mallets or mezrab, we call it, the difference between mallets or mezrabs are either padded, as this one is, or bare wood, which is a little bit higher tone and maybe a little bit more shimmering. This is a little bit more, to me, to my ears, more pleasant.
Sounds more like a harpsichord when they're not padded. It sounds a little more buzzy. All right, this next one, if you like to dance, and if you know how to do Turkish dances, this is called lazgi. Lazgi is a style of Turkish dance. It's fast. It's expected to have sort of this duality to it. Even though it's in 6, it's grouped in 2 3s. So it really feels like it's into diddly 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 diddly. So 1 2 3 4 5 6, but so fast and always accented on 1 and 4. So you hear the boom 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 da 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 da. That sort of feel, even though it's in 6 technically.
Half the speed and then double to counter. Da, 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 da.
That's a workout. That thing is a workout. I need a nap and a Gatorade. Or, yes, thank you. Question. Oh, the ages vary quite a bit. So this one is fairly new. This is actually a new invention, sort of a new modification of an old instrument. So the santoor is 500 years old? 1100, so I was off by 600 years. Yeah, so a little over a millennium. This is a very new instrument. This was invented in the last 30 years. It was a hybrid of a smaller one and a larger one. It's called the shurangiz, the inducer of, what's shur? Excitement? The inducer of excitement. There's got to be a better word for it. Let's see, the spiked fiddle in this form, probably somewhere around 1,000 years, maybe 900 years. But there are more primitive ones that go back 3 to 4,000 years. The bamboo flute's got to be the oldest. You know, the oldest instruments are always the drums, right? Someone found a membrane and hit it, and they're like, "Oh, perfect, let's go, drum circle." But you know, in this kind of formalized way where they make them exactly the same. This one, I don't know. I'm sure you guys heard the kind of a snare sound. These are rings that are suspended on the inside, and you have to anticipate when you fling them forward to hit the membrane. So you kind of do it a little early. And then it has a bass in the middle, it has a treble on the side. You can kind of do a little bit of rolling. All sorts of little details. These are fairly new. And by new, if you think about Persian culture being, you know, whatever, 2,500 years old, then, you know, these are 500 to 600 years old in this form. There's more primitive instruments, like there is something that looks like this with 3 strings, the tambour. That one is expected to be about 1,500 years, give or take. You know, by the time we're talking about a millennia or longer, accuracy starts to slip a bit, right? You know, a few decades don't almost register. We're going to do something slightly different. So I'll play that microtonal scale with just a little snippet of it on the shurangis, and Dad will accompany on tombak, and then we'll switch gears and go to a major scale. So far we were in G minor mostly, but for the musicians in the group, we almost always played an F sharp. So it's a G harmonic minor as opposed to natural minor. This scale would be a natural minor with a microtone on the 6th degree. Thank you. Were you catching that microtone constantly, kind of going back across it and then kind of hitting the tonic again, coming back and kind of pointing at it, coming back and hitting the tonic, constantly teetering constantly. And the point is, we use formalized music to teach, but there's an expectation that students at some point grow beyond the repertoire and start thinking, what else can I do with this? So there is no expectation of verbatim repetition of what you learned in a book. Use that to learn the vocabulary, the vernacular, but eventually make your own sentences. So we're going to switch to G major. We got about 10 minutes left, so it'll be fairly short, but would gladly chat with you guys. My son actually is a great drummer. He's at Lake Ridge Middle School, and they have a concert tonight. So I got to pack quickly and zip and get to Lake Ridge High School because that's where they do the concerts. Typically, he would sit in and play with us tonight, but he's got bigger fish to fry. We're not important enough.
By the way, he mentioned that the santoor is the newest generation of santoor. I've been living and playing with this instrument for 70 years, since my childhood. And I have gone through so many different styles and generations of santoor. This is the most recent one, less than a year old. And that enables us to quickly adjust and fine-tune to different modes without having to use the hammer or the adjuster or tuner for each individual. We have 72 strings on each santoor. Instead of retuning it, I can just do it like this. We were on minor, which is now major, easily to mahur.
Yeah, that would have been around 15 minutes of tuning to get the entire instrument, the two flats out and square it up for G major. Now it's just click, click. And I don't know if you heard, he went from flat to microtone to natural. There was a kind of a transition note in between. So he's got the microtones built into those notches where he can push from flat to microtone to natural. Any wine drinkers here? So this next song is called Dokhtar Shirazi, Girl from Shiraz. Who's had Shiraz wine before? Those grapes actually were transplanted from Shiraz, which is in southwest Iran, from the province of Fars, to Australia, South Africa, and France. And in France, because pronunciation was maybe challenging, they called it Syrah. But they're the same grapes. time for one more. Sure. That would be in the old tuning. We just tuned out of it into this.
I can give it to you a sample before we leave, because we got to go quicker, but I can stay a little bit longer. Just a minute.
Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. This was a lovely set, beautiful. Do you have anything you'd like to say to wrap up?
Appreciate everyone, patience, and I will owe you a Elahe Naz 1 minute. Just, yeah.
Oh, 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, I can wait 1 minute.
You can go ahead and wrap it up. And this A Coron will be multi-tone back to A chord.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming so much. I appreciate the audience. I know that it's a gorgeous day outside, and that you came to be here, and it means a lot. And this was a fantastic concert because of you. I appreciate you coming. Don't forget to fill out a survey by the door, and as always, feel free to contact me anytime.